Hey everybody, it's me, Slumfer, and welcome back to some more scary horror games. I'm fucking super enthused today, if you can tell. So, this is, Dagon. It's a horror game about Cthulhu and other bullshit and all that, so let's just... Dagon is a faithful, interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's works focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
I feel you there. I'm under an appreciable mental strain too. During the game, you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey. Others reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find these secrets, focus your eyes and look for the Elder Sign. Wow. Thank you, Dagon. See, I'm zooming in and I see the Elder Sign. Ooh. Lovecraft's letter. As to my letters, my case is peculiar. I write such things exactly as easily as rapidly as I would utter the same topics in conversation. Indeed, epistolary expression is with me, largely replacing conversation as my condition of nervous frustration becomes more and more acute. I cannot bear to talk much now, and am becoming as silent as the spectator himself. My loquacity... Okay, I'm not reading all this. I can't. I don't have that much focus.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable,
I also couldn't
I can
keep a
bear
serious
the torture
face.
no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Okay, we're jumping.
Do not think from
out
my
the window.
slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate.
Well, like I was saying, I couldn't keep up the monotone fucking bored voice just for the joke. I'm tired, but I'm not that fucking tired. Slavery to morphine. Damn, bro.
When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Morphine. Morphine entered into use in the 19th century. Okay, I didn't ask for a history lesson. Like, I like lore stories as much as anyone else, but...
of the broad Pacific, that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Like, as much as I like history and all that other boring shit, like, because I genuinely like history. I think a lot of history is cool, but I don't care. I don't need history in my horror games. Unless it's, like, plot relevant. Alright.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Well, that's cool. The Huns were essential Asian nomads who established a dominion in Europe and invaded the Roman Empire. Cool. Anything else? Alright, nope. Guess we're walking over here to that.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for
For a good length of time. I accidentally skipped it. Alright, let's boat up and get away. Get away from this place.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
Yeah, I got no fucking clue where I am. Like, I am in the middle of nowhere.
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator.
Yeah,
Of
that
the
makes sense.
longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Oh yeah, that's usually how these things work. Especially when you're in a small little dingy rowboat, you usually don't see things for hours. Hell, if you're unlucky, you might not even see things for years. I head towards the
weather
sun.
kept
Ah,
fair,
God, that's bright.
and for uncounted
fuck.
days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
Yeah. Ah, God, it's so bright. God. Ah, why is it so? Why that sun so bright? Drink some Wawa.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving
why am I
vastness
staring right into
of
the
unbroken
sun?
blue.
You know a game's got a good sun when somehow it manages to hurt your eyes in a fully well lit room.
The change happened whilst I slept.
The change.
Its details I shall never know,
Okay.
for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Oh my God, what? Hello there, how are you doing? Boy, this is a location. This is a place. Alright, well.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover
Speak
myself
to me,
half
squid.
sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
Yep, those undulations are sure monotonous.
And in which my boat lay grounded some distance away.
Yep, that checks out.
Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if I fell asleep in my boat and suddenly arrived in a place that looked like this, yeah, I'd be pretty fucking horrified.
For there was in the air, and in the rotting soil, a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish, and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
Yeah. I don't know. What seems to be laying around here doesn't seem to be that bad. You just have, what, cuttlefish, squid things, octopus. I mean, that's not that bad. I can't tell what those are in the distance. They just look like they could be smaller squids.
Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight, save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear.
I can only think about one thing, and that's about this guy and his gang of friends stealing some Doritos. This little scuttler.
The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Oh. Hello, scuttler. The Origins of Dagon. Dagon seems to be inspired by the fish head in a short novel by... If you guys want to read it, I leave it up on screen long enough so you can at least pause it. Ew. Fucking... Ugh.
As I
Squish
crawled into the
noises.
stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. It's a big undulating mass in the distance.
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
Surely that's the only thing that could be possible.
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Yep, surely that's what must have happened. A massive super volcano came up from the middle of the ocean and made a landmass so large that you can't hear the ocean from where you are. That sounds right.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens.
Yeah.
As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time.
Okay. Let's travel
That
then.
night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
All right. Let's grab
On the
our
third
stuff.
morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease.
I mean, it looks exactly the same from when we
The odor
started,
of the
but
fish
all right.
was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Yeah, let's set out. Ugh. Ugh.
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
All right. Pressing on then. Well, hey there, buddy. How you doing? Not too good. Yeah, me too. There's weird giant crab legs out here and tentacles and such dry, but hey, at least I got you, and no one's more beautifuler than you, yeah, buddy. All right, well, you have a nice day. I gotta keep going. Don't get too dry. I'll come back for you maybe.
That night I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first
What are
espied
these,
it.
giant tapeworms? They've probably... What are these? The horrors of the ocean. The creator of the Cthulhu mythos and the fictional underwater city of Raya convinced the life that could exist at the bottom of the ocean because the water pressure... Today, the darkest death of the organisms, the marina snailfish... Okay, so they're marina snailfishes. That's what I'm guessing they are. For once, the informational tidbit answered what I wanted to know.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
Yeah, mountains are usually bigger than they look from a distance.
An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
I don't see that going well.
I know not why my dreams were so wild that night.
We're gonna wake up and see something awful.
But ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain,
Yeah.
I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again.
Okay.
And in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day.
Yep.
Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Traveling at night is almost
I now
usually
felt
smarter.
quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset.
Okay.
Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Let's go up that mountain, baby. Mountain time. Mountain time. I had to pick up the sack
I have
first.
said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me.
Yeah.
But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine.
Let me
felt
look
myself
down.
on the edge of the world,
Let me look down.
peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night.
Cthulhu's asshole.
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost.
Fear thee who dares stare into Cthulhu's brown eye.
And of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
Yeah?
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent.
Alright.
Whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Yeah. Okay. Just climb it down. Climb it down.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated.
Gazing deep.
All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose
obelisk.
steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
The obelisk, the almighty tower.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself.
I mean, yeah, that's what an obelisk is.
But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
Well, yeah.
A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Conniptions.
For despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith.
Yeah. Yeah, monolith, obelisk, same thing, just about.
Whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
I'm examining my surroundings closely. There's
moon,
water here now.
near
That
the
wasn't here
zenith,
before.
shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm,
Oh, hey, would you look at that?
and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions.
We definitely would
and
have
almost
seen
lapping
this
my feet
coming
as
down
I
here
stood on the
before.
slope. Across the chasm,
Shit's
the wavelets
changing in
washed
front
the
of
base
us.
of the cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Yeah. Those are those things you just said.
The writing
Oh, how the
was in
fuck
a
did I get
system
all the
of
way up here?
hieroglyphics unknown
Wow.
to me.
I'm
and
flying. Unlike anything I'd ever seen in books,
consisting
that.
for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like.
I'm flying. Oh, am I
Several
flying?
characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was
Alright.
the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Yeah. Storytelling methods. Dagon contains the many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling a story through carvings, journals and characters' notes, islands emerging from the ocean, or fictional beings and mythologies. Yeah.
Plainly visible across the intervening water, on account of their enormous size, were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré.
Yeah.
I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men,
Mermen.
though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some
Mermaid
green
Man
grotto.
and Barnacle Boy.
or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint, grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer. They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips.
Hey, come on, don't be mean to him about them now. That everyone looks different. I mean, they look the way they do. You look like a fucking fleshy monkey sack thing to them.
Glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall.
Damn, my man has no sympathy.
Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background.
They're just built different from you.
For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself. I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe.
Could be, or they were the people.
Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
Maybe.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist,
Yeah.
I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
What? Where?
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to
that.
the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Okay, would you like to show it to me?
Polyphemus-like and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the mark, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Damn, bro, you've been working on them glutes? Got them fucking big ass arms too, although you could do a little more on leg day, kinda lacking a bit there. And everything's going water.
I went mad then. Of my
I'm a
frantic
little bit
ascent of the
crazy.
sloping cliff,
I'm
and
a little
of my
bit
delirious
mad.
journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
It's a meme, Batman. Where the fuck am I? Where am I? I'm crawling out of Cthulhu's asshole, Joker.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
Yeah. Sounds like something. Sounds about right.
I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat.
Yep. Back at the boat.
At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
Mother Nature hurls a storm at me, and I hurl something back. I don't know. I can't think of anything.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital.
Oh no, we truly are in a horror game, not San Francisco, anything
Brought
with that.
thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean.
God, no, they've put us in San Francisco. Let us
In
out.
my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention.
Let me out, please, let me out. I can't be in San Francisco. No, not again. Not ever.
Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Yeah. Oh no, the door opened on its own. That I opened it with my
Once
mind
I sought
powers.
out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Hey, that's the guy the game's named after. Dagon. Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout Middle East, an ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon was common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia chose him as the patron saint of their war conquest. He also appeared as the judge of the dead man in an Assyrian poem. In the underworld, he's often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, which is, as in Hebrew, the word dag means fish. Alright. To the books.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional,
Is that a
I did
Necronomicon?
not press my inquiries.
Yeah, I know what a Necronomicon is. August Derleth and the Cthulhu mythos. Yeah, The Marketer. Lovecraft's attempts to find a job in 1925 were influenced by the advances he received from friends, among others, a freelance for marketing. Alright. Clock. To the clock we go. You know, this horror game isn't very horrifying. I kind of feel cheated a little. The Scientist. These days, the word scientist is a widely accepted term, but at the time Dagon was published, it was subject to a wide debate. After the author used it in a story, critics pointed out that man of science is more of an appropriate term to employ, the admitted in defense of Dagon, that if Dagon were to be reprinted, he would indeed use the phrases they suggested. Scientist was coined as an analog to artist, to be used when referring to those studying different branches of science. Okay, cool.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing.
I see it.
I tried morphine.
I took all the drugs. Trust me, I've tried every single last one of them.
But the drug has given only transient surcease, and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now, I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Alright, time to... Lovecraft on tobacco and alcohol. Lovecraft hated tobacco, even though... Fuck you. Focus smack fat cigar. Get lung cancer. Diet 80.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm. A mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat, after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite.
Is that fucking Godzilla?
I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Oh no, not New York. They're going to attack New York. No, leave Lady Liberty alone. Leave her alone.
The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Yeah. Guess I should go answer the door.
It shall not find me.
I think it's gonna find me.
God,
Leave me
that
alone.
hand.
No. Leave me alone.
The window! The window!
Yes, I'll jump out the window. And like that, I have perished. And that is Dagon, at least the base game. I don't know if we'll play any of the DLCs. I don't know if anyone yeah, I have no clue if we'll play any of the DLCs or if I'll buy any of the DLCs, but that was Dagon. Apparently a horror game about Cthulhu mythos and I guess the book Dagon. So I hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you next time. And as always, goodbye.